Okay, here we go. Now this is shop job 1401, and 1401 is going to be very close to 1301, except we're going to change the input devices for forward and reverse. Before, with 1301, we had a 3-position selector switch that was selecting forward and reverse, and now that has been removed, and we have 2 push buttons, the green for forward and the yellow for reverse. Everything else should remain the same on this particular shop job from 1301, except for those 2 changes. So let's go ahead and we're going to call up our 1301 here. And the first thing we want to do is save this as 1401. And we'll change our comment to 1401. Okay. All right. So the start switch is no longer going to be the start switch. It's going to be a forward switch. And so we have a symbol that we want to call forward for that. And down here, this start switch will be replaced with a reverse or the yellow push button. But we already have symbols of that same name. So we need to actually remove those from our selector switch, and we need to move them over here. And the simple way to do that is just to double click, and we're just going to physically delete those out in our little dialog box there, and we're going to delete these out here. Okay, so the selector switch no longer has symbols associated with it, and of course we don't need that selector switch anymore because it's not on this shop job. And then this one is now going to become our forward push button, and this is going to be start forward. Okay, and this one, if we look in our IO assignment sheet here, our yellow push button is going to be bits number 6 on our input word. So we're going to change this to a 6. Okay. Previously we used that as jog. Now it's going to be reverse. And it doesn't REV, and that's all that I want. Okay. And then here this is going to be start reverse. Okay. Okay. And that's the only 2 changes from 1301 to 1401. We need to remove that selector switch, and we need to replace it with the push buttons. And now you can kind of see the reason why for the selector switch. There was a couple different ways we could have implemented it. The reason why I put it in 2 separate rungs here is for this exact reason. We could port back and forth between these different modalities of inputs and be able to convert the programs pretty quickly. Okay, so if you push the start button, you're going to command it to run forward, and if you push the forward button, if you push the reverse button, you're going to command it to run in reverse. Everything else should stay the same. There is no timer associated with 1401, but all the other functionality should remain the same. So we're going to go ahead and download this. Oh, there's one other thing I forgot. Okay. One of the things that we learned in manual motor controls is if we're running in forward, we don't want to be able to also push the reverse button. And if we're running in reverse, we don't also want to push the forward button. So we can actually disable ourselves based on the other. And this is another good reason why we want to use these 2 binary outputs. I want to add a disabler in here. And I want to be able to go in forward as long as I am not commanding it to go into reverse. Okay. And here I want to go into reverse as long as I am not commanding it to go into forward. So I'm forcing the operator to push stop before they can go in the opposite direction. Okay? And this is kind of a halfway improved way of us limiting them on changing directions. But we're going to, in 1402, go the full weight of being able to limit the operator. Okay, let's go ahead and download this. And we'll test it out. Okay. So we have a running program. We can see that by the multiple indications. And we are not either in forward or reverse, so we're free to choose either direction currently. I'm going to go ahead and hit forward, which will be this push button. That will energize our B30, and in doing so, we'll come down here, and the B30 will energize our output, and then that output, because B30 is already energized, this contact will pull in, and we're not turning on CR2, or the directional relay, and that we will turn on our white light. As soon as we turn on our white light, then we'll have a holding circuit through here, and it will remain on. Okay. So here you can see we've energized the relay right down here, and CR2 is off, so that's why our white light is on. And once our white light is on, we can use that for a holding circuit, and we cannot press the reverse button. You see, because this white light is on, because our run command is on, we have taken away this test for zero instruction. So if I try to hit reverse, you can see that the reverse push button is getting logical continuity, but they all have to be lined up in series for us to actually hit the reverse output. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit stop here. Took us out of forward, and now I'm going to select reverse. You notice I'm going in neither direction, so neither is limited. So I can select reverse now. So I'm in the reverse direction. You can see up here that I have now disabled forward. So if I try to push our forward, it is not going to allow me to go in forward. The only problem with this implementation is if I hit stop and then the opposite direction quickly, it allows me to do so. And we know from our work in manual motor controls that we will have to wait for that start switch to re-engage before we can actually change directions. So in 1402, we're going to take care of that with a timer and a wait bit. So I hope this helped for 1401, and we'll see you in the next video to implement this to limit the operator on change of direction. We'll see you then.